Small cap stocks, they have been badly lagging their larger peers this year. But for those looking to commit fresh money, which type of stocks are the better pick? Welcome to Trading Nation. I'm Eric Chemi. Today we're joined by Craig Johnson from Piper Jaffray and Chad Morganlander from Washington Crossing Advisors. Chad, I want to start with you. Small caps, large caps, if you had to pick one, you're putting fresh money into the market, which one are you picking?
So I would definitely go with large cap at this point. The small caps had this huge run over the course of 2016. That was the beta trade in the later half of the year after the election. We believe valuations at this point and growth doesn't justify being overweight small caps at this point, so we would shift into the large cap side. Keep in mind, again, market cap to GDP, we're at nosebleed territories. Earnings growth, yes, they're positive going forward over the next 12 to 18 months, but again, it is one of these trades that we would be more defensive if it's one against the other, and of course it would be large caps.
Craig, what about you? Do you agree with him or no?
Well, when I come back, and I agree with Chad, and I think I'd also add into this discussion that I think large caps are probably going to outperform. When you make a simple ratio chart of large cap versus small cap, you're starting to see the large cap names picking up, but also growth versus value. You're also now starting to see value starting to lag a little bit, so growth is coming into favor. At this point in time, I definitely favor the large cap, but over the long term, over say 2-3 years, small caps historically have done very well, and but right now it's large caps over small caps. But over the long term, it's historically been small cap names that have done the best.
Yeah, Chad, what do you think about that? When you think about historicals, it's one of those things you learn about in business school in a Finance 101 class, right? It's always small caps for the long haul. So how do you balance that type of Finance 101 knowledge with what's really going on in reality these days?
So yeah, the small caps have outperformed in the long run going back to post World War II. But valuations do matter, and there are times when small caps really start to become extremely extended from that perspective, and this gives more of an opportunity towards large caps. Second thing, if you're playing indexes and you're buying the ETF, which I recommend on that type of trade, then you could do quite well. But with small cap individual stocks, it's a hit or miss. And the survivability factor is something to consider with many of these small cap individual companies. And then there's volatility. How much volatility do you want to layer into your portfolio as either an institutional investor or a retail investor? These are all things one has to consider when picking one or the other. But again, we would absolutely, at this point, just stay with the large cap trade. And as Craig just mentioned, I would actually stay with the growth large cap trade at this juncture.
And then just finishing off with Craig, I assume you've got to agree with Chad that you want to look at the ETFs and not try to pick small cap individual stocks. I assume that's a recipe for disaster for people out there. Would you agree with that?
I would agree. I would stick with the ETFs for buying these names on the small cap side of the world and even the large cap. Certainly cost benefits for doing so.
Well, I appreciate the time, Craig, Chad. It's always great to have you guys here on Trading Nation. Thanks for coming on, as always.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.